All right, welcome to another episode of Talking Metaverse with me, Tan. I'm here joined by Mr. Sami Luukkonen from NCS, who is in Singapore. Sami.
That's right. No, yeah, exactly. And I was just kind of saying because I'm originally Finnish, so I should be where you are, and you should be
I'm in Helsinki, Finland, and you are in Singapore,
Singapore.
one of my favorite places in Asia.
I love it here.
How long have you been there?
No, this time only for 2 years. So this is my second tour in Singapore, and I've been in the region for long. So we lived in the past. We lived in Tokyo for a couple of years, and Hong Kong, Beijing, as well,
Wow.
and now then second time in Singapore.
Okay, so you're very experienced with Asia.
No, that's right. Yes,
Uh,
very familiar clients, a lot of familiar people, of course.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you, Asia, especially Southeast Asia, but Asia, APAC, Asia wide is known to be much more widely adopting of metaverse technologies.
hmm
Is
hmm
that how you see it in your experience?
No, it definitely is. So I have a pleasure of working with South Korea Telecom, and in the Ifland, the metaverse they created there is very advanced, and I think what's different to the North America or Europe, which is the metaverse, is, of course, is coming up, but here it's very much kind of being built around the communities. So there is community-based metaverses, and given an example of the Ifland, which is now spreading across Asia, so it's not going to be anymore just in South Korea, is that they have a community for teenage girls, and there is an avatar that is a kind of a very well-known figure in among the teen girls, who's talking about the problems that the teen girls have.
Wow.
There's another example is that they have bands that only exist in metaverse. So they nobody knows who they are. So they are it's kind of a secret, but they come and play now and then, and when there is an event coming, people get text messages, etc. Hey, they're gonna kind of come and play this weekend at this time. Let's go and have a party, and then the meta bands then go about. But it is very much about the focusing on niche communities and bringing really interesting personalities to the metaverse that you would never ever be able to kind of get to know otherwise. So there are some kind of avatars that welcome you to their home, for example, and they happen to be, for example, some of the golfing names that invite you to their home, and in the metaverse you're able to go to their homes. But yet again, it's a kind of community related
Interesting.
thing. Yeah, so
And
it's quite different to kind of what I see in Europe and North America.
yeah. So when you say invite to their homes, do you mean is it tied to a real physical place or is it
Not
completely?
meta, it's meta. Yeah, it's a metaverse. And of course, we have here also the mixed reality
Yeah.
metaverses as well. But these big crowds, so when you kind of invite somebody to your home, then it's purely virtual for security reasons, etc. So you don't
Okay.
want to expose, but they apparently they very closely mimic the real place as well. But of course, then you're not able to know where physically that place is, for example. So
Yeah.
it's very close to what they have. So the including all the paintings and things like that, you're able to mimic what you have at home. So it works so well, I tell you. So it's very different than just going and playing games. It's
Yeah.
not. It is very personalized, very kind of intense in kind of social interaction.
Okay. So this might be a good point to ask you a question that we ask all our guests, which is, and I didn't tell you this in advance, but
Ah,
is it possible, in your opinion, to define the metaverse in one sentence?
oh, wow! Because it's very different kind of depending on the context, but well, first of all, it's a very immersive experience, and it is virtual or mixed, like this home example. It's virtual or mixed experience, and we interact in the metaverse in a way that we interact in the real world. So it mimics our interactions, and it's minimum 3D. And what I say minimum 3D is that now sensing is coming as well. So you can, I could shake your hand.
Yes,
and I could
haptics.
feel it. Yeah, so I could feel it. So that's why I say like minimum 3D. So that's a kind of very loose sentence, but that's how I kind of myself think about the metaverse. So it's there's not too much boundaries to it. How I define the metaverse. So
I love that. I haven't heard that before. Minimum. I like that idea. So at least 3D, maybe
correct.
more.
Correct. That's right. Because you can have smell, touch, the feeling of wind. So it's coming very rapidly. Of course, you need to have then wearables, etc., to make it happen. But I'm positive that we can make a very real-like metaverse in the coming years as well, which can be very addictive for people.
Yeah, we'll get to the drawbacks, I think. But let me quickly ask you at this point, NCS, when did NCS first? Because I know you've been personally talking about 5G for a long time.
Yes.
What is NCS's role in building the metaverse, or how do you guys? What excites you from point of view of NCS?
Yeah, that's right. So, well, first of all, we're owned by a telco, so Singtel Group, and Singtel Group consists of 6 operators. So, of course, when it comes to metaverse, 5G is really important in consumer applications. So, when the metaverse becomes a mixed reality or virtual reality, 5G, because of the low latency, it becomes really important. And of course, the overall connectivity, you need a high bandwidth connectivities with the metaverses. So that's the angle where we've been coming on. And the other thing is the monetization opportunity that comes with the metaverse. So we now discussed about the IFLAND, which is really about the consumer, but you can imagine the applications in the B2B side. So if you, for example, combine digital twins and a metaverse, you could do remote maintenance because you work on the digital twin device, and then you can kind of do whatever you like, and then you can always take it to the remote surgery as well, because really it's about playing with the digital twin of a human being when you do that. So there's a lot of applications. So that's why the telcos play a big role, and that's where my comes in, because I run what is called the Telco Plus, which is to expand the monetization of telcos in APAC. And so I work with a huge number of telcos now, including South Korea Telecom, where the IFLAND example came from. So,
okay, so you gave one example of a use case in monetizing, which is digital twin remote.
Right. Remote maintenance.
Remote maintenance, yes.
Yeah.
So places, where we don't want to send real people, or it's inconvenient to send a real person.
Yes.
Any other examples?
Well, the one of the kind of big areas where we're working now already is education.
Okay.
So training and education of people, both in the universities, and that was actually kicked off by the pandemic. That's where the really leaping towards the metaverse started, was to kind of create an environment where the learning can be more impactful, is in the metaverse, rather than looking at the 2D screen of a Zoom or Teams or whatever you're using. But then it's also the training of the blue collar workers, that where we are involved as well, so that they can pick up the skills of the next generation of whatever faster.
Wow.
And also it is the expert support. So if you're working, and this goes more to the kind of mixed reality kind of related things, when you're working on something where you're not totally expert, that you can have your avatar friend with you over there. So that's a kind of one educational town halls. So we are setting up town halls for many companies, which is a way to get more people involved in the company town halls. When you're inviting 1,000 people in,
Amazing.
It's still very difficult to get them physically in the same place, but in the metaverse you can, and then you can create impacts which are really real. So if I'm further away from you, your voice gets lower, and if you're really far away, I don't know what you're speaking about. So you can hear the nearby table, but not the table 3 kind of tables away anymore. So you can create this feeling of space also, and then of course the interactions are there. So that's becoming quite popular here in Asia, especially with companies that are kind of distributed geographically quite a bit. Health, yes, that's coming as well. The counseling is coming as well. So if you have weight problems, diabetes, even kind of mental kind of challenges. So it's especially in the mental health area, it might be much more comfortable to go to an avatar session than physically kind of encounter, because you can stay relatively anonymous behind an avatar as well. But there are multiple use cases that are kind of popping up now in different fields as well. So
exciting times. Yeah,
it's coming. So there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so you say it's coming, so it's inevitable. Do you think we've passed the point of no return? This is full speed ahead.
It is, and the things like what we discussed with you guys on the kind of 3D mapping. So it's real what Immersal does. So it's real deals that are being done, and real concepts, the commerce concepts of kind of virtualizing a shop and being able to interact in a shop in a mixed reality or full reality world it is here. So I think what's going to be a breakthrough is that when we have really hot consumer offerings coming out. For example, the IFLAN example in South Korea has driven the business. So it's not anymore the business drives the consumer, but consumer drives the business.
Yep.
And adaptation of the IFLAN has created a pressure on the South Korean companies to also to adopt the metaverse technology. So they're like town halls.
Yep.
have come really after IFLAN, but they are spreading very quickly. So what's one thing that is also noticeable here is that when there is a breakthrough, it starts to advance very quickly then to the next stages, like from the example of the South Korea.
Okay, so you're saying for wide adoption, for ubiquitous adoption, what's missing is the hot consumer application.
That's right. So
does that mean? So would you say the technology is there? Is the technology already there?
The technology is already there. So we have all the things. So we have the AI, we have the edge compute, we have the cloud, we have the connectivity, we have the devices existing. So it's really there. So it's more of a adaptation of this technology, and then of course we're going to be in a hurry to create the solutions after that. But once the consumer adaptation starts to really pick up, and of course it starts kind of between 20 and 40-year-olds who are going to drive it first, and then it's going to go down and up in the genders and the age groups as well. And once that's there, then people become so comfortable that these productivity environments in the business, because metaverse is really a productivity environment, become kind of much more kind of every day for us.
So can I ask, as somebody who's been in this world for a long time, do you remember your first personal interaction with AR, VR, XR, any kind of this world? Do you remember?
Yeah.
When was it?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
It was in the West Coast long time ago, because the wearable was so heavy that
Yes.
kind of was put on. It was and it was only kind of your head movement. So I was not the physical movement didn't matter, and it was on one of the tech labs in San Jose.
Okay.
When I tested it.
What year was this approximately?
2010 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, so very early, because
Going
it was
way
kind of
back.
early stages. But then the rendering was really bad, so it wasn't able to really keep up with my kind of head movements at a time. But it was a meeting room environment where it was put, so it wasn't a fancy meet with the whale or meet with the shark experience. It was kind of the first times when they were able to map the meeting room and stuff, and I was able to kind of start to look at, and there were like the old Microsoft examples, they had kind of objects floating that you were able to look at. You were not able to touch it yet, but you were able to go around to look at the object that was floating in the midair. But it was like, wow. But on the other hand, it was that when you took off the headset off, you were like, oh my God, this is heavy and sweaty as well. So it's wasn't very user-friendly equipment
so
yet.
2010, jump forward 12 years. Is there anything, what's the latest cool stuff that you remember seeing, and anything impressive that you've seen in recent memory?
For me, it's because I'm still waiting for really light wearables to be able to kind of not feel that I'm wearing anything, so that it's kind of from the feel side. It's also very, very natural. For me, it's more the wows have been like these combining digital twin and the metaverse, and then kind of doing real things. So not playing around, but doing real things over there have been like, wow. And then secondly, for me, wows have been these communities that have been growing, like these Ifland communities, that it's a real thing.
Yeah.
That these teenage girls really gather around to discuss these challenges that they have. It's like, wow, this works. That this is where this thing was built for. And now we see it happening. So it is great.
By the way, are these kids accessing via handheld device or wearables?
Both. So the biggest events are with the mobile phone, because not everybody has them. But you have both that you're able to kind of access these things. So of course, when you go to listen to the band, you want to have a wearable, because then you can enjoy the thing much more. You're really immersed into the party over there, versus when you're kind of listening into this teenage icon or idol who's talking about the subject. You might be just wearing your normal headset and looking at the mobile phone as well in your bedroom corner.
Now, something we mentioned briefly, you talked about being aware of the addictiveness. So from the maker's side, from the telco side, how much do you guys take that into account? And is it something that we should be aware of, cautious of?
I think we should be very cautious of, because the good and a bad thing about the metaverse is that you're able to fulfill your desires, and whether you want to kind of look sporty, or you want to have cool friends or cool clothing, and you're able to do much more than in your real life, and so it can become quite addictive, because you get the kind of fulfillment in a metaverse, or you can get fulfillment in the metaverse. So it's similar to kind of a screen time, that you need to control the screen time. But I think the metaverse can be much more addictive on that side. So I think the healthy education, like we educate our children, we should educate them in the metaverse similarly, that what's good behavior, what you should do, that you should do this and that. So similarly, I think we need to pay attention to it as well. So
Okay.
I've seen it, how addictive it can be. So
Yeah.
It's can be a dream world for some people.
Yeah. It's like anything, you know, you don't want too much of a good thing either. You don't want to go to extremes with anything.
That's right. So that it doesn't cause you problems in your real life. That it's some reason that you don't go through your schools or something else. So that there is of course a limit, that kind of, because everybody needs to be happy. So we all need to be happy, and you could be happy there. So I nothing against that. However you become happy, as long as it doesn't kind of influence or in a bad way the others around you, or that it causes for yourself problems. But happiness is something that we all should strive for. So
now you did say, if it doesn't affect your real life. Now, for some people, what if the real life? Because
I know,
which is real.
Yes, exactly, and exactly so. And I don't kind of think that you can distinguish the two things clearly in the future. So it's going to be kind of a good definition. Okay, where is the limit? And because if the happiness is the purpose of the planet, and everything's robotized, and you don't need to work for living in a real world, you can do it in the metaverse. Why don't you do it in the metaverse? So
I like that.
Why not? Why not? So
I like that. Yeah, because in the future, once everything is automated and all the bots are doing all the jobs, if I want to clean toilets, I'll have to go to the metaverse to do it.
Yeah, that's right. So it's and I'm honestly, I think this is going to be one very interesting working place, so that you can really earn a good living in metaverse. So that going to the office is not the thing that you do in the future. So a lot of our jobs are going to be in the metaverse as well. So that's where you're going to learn or earn your living as well. So it's
okay. Before we finish, I just want to get a little bit more philosophical.
Sorry about that.
No, I love this. Now, you talked about the town hall, building a digital town hall. And if we think about that, that's something that I think the ancient Greeks first, Romans, when they built their towns, they started that. And it seems like as a species, humanity, that's what we've been trying to do for thousands of years, which is just to connect people.
I know. Yes.
Is that
absolutely?
So this is just like another step in that direction. We're just trying to come together to understand each other.
It is, and I think it's a kind of a good comparison. Is kind of big meeting places during the Roman times, where you got the Colosseums and the others, which are kind of, because we are social animals, and we want to kind of socialize. So this is another step for that, absolutely. Except that it is not anymore the Colosseum in the Rome, it's the planet. So you have
Yeah.
a arena of kind of the potentially the planet, and of course
Absolutely.
within the community that where you want to interact. So absolutely, I think it's a good comparison.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, I think all new technologies should have its critics. But I
Yes, of
also
course.
want to remind the critics that this is a natural progression in this path that we've been on for
In
thousands
humanity.
of years.
Yeah, no, that's right. No, exactly. And because we are still trying to mimic the real world to a point, especially with the interactions, which is very human. So it's a very human way to kind of take the next steps is via the metaverse.
Yeah.
So it's and there's so many things it solves as well. Loneliness, being teased at school. There's a lot of things that you can avoid in the metaverse, which you can't avoid in the real world. So I think it's not a final solution for humankind, of course, but I think it's an improvement to the kind of well-being of the humankind.
And that's all we're trying to do, improve
No,
the
indeed.
well-being of humankind. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that. But it's a big target.
Yeah. Sorry, one final thing I have to ask, because you just said we're trying to mimic the real world. Have you given much thought to the idea that where is the end of that path? If we mimic the real world, what if it's logical that if we continue, we will mimic the real world. We will make an exact replica of the real world, which means we're going to create a real world simulation.
You can, yes. No, absolutely. But I think it's both and. So I think there is improved real world and real world, and then there's the virtual world where you can kind of where you can be. And because we need to remember that there are multiple metaverses, there's unlimited number of metaverses. So you can be in the real world metaverse, you can be in an improved world metaverse or virtual world. Then of course, but I am confident that the whole world will be it will be put to the metaverse. Have no doubt about it.
Wow.
That's what we're going to do. So, which of course then creates the question of travel, for example. That's if you have a real world metaverse, if you want to go and see Machu Picchu, kind of, and you're able to get the sensing as well. So it's an over 3D travel. So what's the difference anymore, except that you won't be jet lagged? Is a good question. That
unless you want to simulate the jet lag.
Right? That's right. Yes. No, exactly. So it's interesting future.
Yes. Cool. Sami, kiitos paljon.
Ole hyvä. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.